Hello everyone, my name is Andy and this is another special episode of UFOs and other paranormal stuff. Hello everybody and welcome to UFOs and other paranormal stuff. I hope that you're all doing well this morning or afternoon or wherever it is you are. Thanks for listening to the other special episode the other day about the update to the Somerton Man case. That was and still is a very interesting case, I think, especially given the things that have been coming out since Carl Webb's identity was released to the world. Who knows exactly where that mystery will go next? Not me, but I'll be there to bring it to you. I still actually wonder if there is maybe a tentative link to the Isdal woman case as well. Someone did say that there was a link between Somerton Man and the Isdal woman. Who knows? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Now, this episode today, as you know, is also a special episode. It's very rare that we get a special episode, let alone two specials in 1 week. 2 specials in 1 year is quite the thing. Some potentially important news broke just a few days ago, this time in the field of ufology. That news is with regards to the Calvine UFO sighting. Before I go into that breaking news, let's just have a little look back at what allegedly happened at that small town in Calvine in the Highlands of Scotland. It was back on the 4th of August 1990, some 32 years ago, when 2 men out walking near Calvine in the Highlands noticed a large diamond-shaped UFO silently hanging in the sky above them for around about 10 minutes. They were able to take some photographs of it before it shot up into the sky. Not knowing exactly what to do, the men told the Scottish newspaper The Daily Record, who shared the photographs and negatives with the Ministry of Defence. They were never seen again. The men's identities were never revealed to the public, and the newspaper reported nothing. Nick Pope, who worked at the MOD around that time, thinks that something called a D notice could have been handed to the newspaper and the men told to keep quiet about what they had seen. A D notice, Defence and Security Media Advisory Notice, is an official request to news editors not to publish or broadcast items on specific subjects for reasons of national security. Pope, who helped to create a colorized mock-up of a drawing made by the men who saw the UFO in the Highlands on that day, said to the Scottish Sun newspaper back in October 2020 that he has seen top-secret photos of the Calvine UFO sighting and it left him shell-shocked. The picture shows a large diamond-shaped object with a warplane, possibly a Harrier from RAF Likers, behind it. Some are saying that the UFO is actually a top-secret US spy plane, the Aurora spy plane. As I have said in previous episodes, this was around the time of the Cold War and the first Iraq War too. But the question is, if it was meant to be a top-secret spy plane, then surely moving it around so low to the ground, near to the North Sea, and in daylight, would not have been the best of ideas. But, hey, I'm no expert. Mr. Pope said these words in October 2020, just a few months before the UK's 30-year rule on keeping this particular sighting under lock and key was due to come to an end. But as the 1st of January 2020 approached, for some reason the MOD decided that the evidence from the Calvine UFO sighting must now remain secret until the 2070s, adding another 50 years to the already 30 years of secrecy to this event. Why would they do that? Well, according to the National Archives, who the MOD gave a huge amount of UFO files to back in the 2000s, it is usual for material exempt under Section 40, in brackets number 2, to be closed for the lifetime of the subject, which is assumed to be 100 years from the subject's date of birth. Closure dates, therefore, are dependent on the age of the individual whose details are being given, and the duration of the closure could well be over 50 years. Yet that makes me wonder, because the two people involved wanted to tell their story. They went to the newspapers in the first place, after all. The news that broke in the newspapers on the 12th of August 2022, just a few days ago, is that 32 years after the sighting took place, an RAF officer had broken with protocol by keeping one of the photographs taken that night, released that real photograph to the world. The Daily Mail newspaper, published on the 12th of August 2022, recapped the story of the two men, apparently chefs, who were walking in the hills near Calvine in the edge of the Cairngorm Mountains, which is a beautiful part of the world. The Highlands are a beautiful part of the world. I fully recommend going there forever. It states they hadn't gone far when they saw a huge solid diamond-shaped object around 100 feet long hovering in the sky above them. Terrified, they hid in some bushes and looked up. Minutes later, they heard the scream of a jet aircraft going north. RAF Loikers had 2 squadrons on 24-hour standby to intercept Russian intruders in the airspace. The jet came back and circled the thing before heading off in its original course, as if the pilot had seen the object too and had come back for a closer look. It went on to say that the two men that took the photographs and, convinced they had seen a UFO, took the photographs to the newspaper, the Daily Record, as we know. No story was ever printed. The paper passed on the photos to the Ministry of Defence, and the photos simply vanished, along with the two men. Until now. Now, if you're watching this episode on the website www.ufosandops.com, the picture you are seeing now is the real photograph taken of that UFO in Calvine all those years ago. If you are listening to the episode, head over to the website, podcast or vodcast page, and click on the episode. You will see the photograph as well as the drawing and the mock-up made before the photograph's release. I would be very interested to know what your thoughts are on this whole story and, of course, on the photograph itself. To do that, please contact me here at UFOs and Other Paranormal Stuff by using the contact form at the bottom of the website. UFO researchers have been trying to uncover the mystery that surrounded the Calvine UFO for years. What happened to the file? What happened to the two men? Why was it suppressed for 32 years? These were questions going around their minds until, according to the Daily Mail, one researcher, who had found his past inquiries were being blocked, came across a retired RAF officer, Craig Lindsay, who also happened to be the first official to speak to the two men after their sighting that infamous night. Now 83, Mr. Lindsay told researchers that he had broken protocol and taken a copy of the image before sending them to the Ministry of Defence in London. He kept the secret copy in his desk for all these years, hidden inside a copy of the Great Aircraft of the World book. According to the UFO researcher, Mr. Lindsay seemed relieved to now be able to share these things that he had kept secret for 3 decades. The photograph is in black and white, but printed on colour paper, according to the researcher, who knew that what he was looking at was something very exceptional. He goes on to say that the trees and the fence look a little blurry, as if the photographer took it in a moment of panic, which would be consistent with their story from that night. The camera is focused on a diamond-shaped object in the centre of the frame. Unlike many UFO images, this is clearly a structured craft of unknown origin. It looks otherworldly and unlike any conventional aircraft. It is by far the best UFO photograph I have ever seen. Since the researcher came across this photograph, he has had it analysed by Andrew Robinson, a senior lecturer in the photography at Sheffield Hallam University, and he is convinced that the photograph is genuine. Mr. Lindsay spent 10 years in the military, is also convinced that the image and the frightened man that he spoke to on the night are genuine. He was worried about speaking to the UFO researcher about this as he was in breach of the Official Secrets Act, but after 32 years of doing what he was told to and keeping quiet, he said he now wants the truth to emerge. And now, I guess, the truth is out there. Again, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? I think, maybe hope is a better word, that this is real. But there is something bugging me it just might be the UK playing catch up to the United States and the Tic Tac revelations of a few years ago. Some people have linked those to the great government cover-ups and fear-mongering. I hope that is not the case here. Who knows, it might indeed open the door to more real revelations about other incidents like Rendlesham Forest or the Berwyn Mountains incident. Who knows? One thing you can be sure of is that if anything more comes to light, I will be right behind it, bringing it to you. Thank you once again for listening to this special episode of UFOs and other paranormal stuff. If you like the show, please do give it a share with your friends and family, and also give it a like and a review on your podcast provider. It really does help us podcast creators. Please do think about making a small donation to the show. I know times are tough right now, but every penny does go into helping this show keep going. Thanks again, everyone, and until next time, bye-bye.